Hello everybody, Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the SmackDown review for the 18th of September 2020. And oh my gosh, just when I thought this show couldn't get any worse, well, I was wrong. Anyhow, SmackDown continues to be the worst mainstream wrestling show I think I don't know that I've ever seen, but I've seen consistently on a free television network. There was good things on the show. Don't get me wrong. There were the video package with Paul Heyman that we'll get to was phenomenal. I did like Sasha Banks' promo, but other than that, this show is complete throwaway. But let's get to it. So, John Morrison and The Miz open the show in the ring, and they say they're here to give everyone the inside story. They discuss several things going on, including Bayley and Sasha, Roman and his cousin, the Intercontinental title issue, and all that. So they turn their attention to Otis and Mandy Rose. Miz basically takes credit for the fact that Rose is on Raw now and intimates that she's already moved on from Otis. And he says now they're going to focus on Money in the Bank. Miz promises that Otis would have to get over it. And he pointed out that Dolph Ziggler used to date Mandy Rose. I don't know if this is true or not, but sounds reasonable enough. And says that they Netflix and chilled. Otis's music hits. He runs out. He goes nuts on the heels. Miz tries to escape. Tucker stops him. Otis hits the caterpillar on Miz and hits a Vader bomb. Otis runs to the back of the ring and tears off Miz's suit. This is no Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat situation. Miz and Morrison basically run off, and Miz is wearing tighty-whitey underwear. This is just, bleh. This is what you put on a Friday night when there's sports competition. It's football season. It's high school football season for schools that are actually playing. I don't know if there are any, but why not? And you're in the midst of what's about to be the World Series in a little while. This is what you put on Fox, one of the top 5 television networks in the United States and Canada, to open a show on free television? Are you kidding me? On what level does this 6-year-old humor remotely have anything to do with a sport or even sports entertainment? This was neither sport nor entertaining. It was sophomoric humor that would be better left in some high school musical ripoff. Anyway, so we go to the break. We come back. Morrison and Miz are in the back. Morrison thanks Miz, and he thinks the plan's backfiring. He says that Otis is like the Incredible Hulk. He doesn't like him when he's mad. Haha. And Caleb Braxton approaches. She asks if Miz regrets bothering Otis. Miz gets a phone call and asked if that was enough. He smiles and walks away. So Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura come out. Cesaro's in a match with Grand Metalik. He comes out with Kalisto and Lindsay Dorado. Match was fine. They continue to waste the body of work that is Cesaro. They announced that these two teams, Lucha House Party and Nakamura and Shinsuke, will fight at Clash of Champions. This is a good thing. Match was fine while it lasted. Was too short. Metalik has a quick advantage. He does some decent arm drags and other lucha-related stuff. He goes to Kalisto and Dorado for advice. Kalisto is pushed as the leader of the group. Metalik fights back and hits a Rana. He hits that off the second turnbuckle. Cesaro slows things down and works over Metalik's arm. Metalik ends up on the apron. Kalisto and Dorado jump up. And then we go, and they fight. Ref yells at them, and they get sent to the back. Cesaro attacks Metalik from behind because he's distracted with his friends rather than, I don't know, putting food on his own table. Metalik recovers and hits a dive to the floor. So you just get back into the ring and then you jump out of it. This makes all the sense in the world. Back from the break, Cesaro is in control. He's hitting the chinlock of doom as we speak. And Michael Cole explained that Nakamura interfered during the break to help Cesaro. So this is something we couldn't have shown why. Anyway, Cesaro hits a running uppercut in the corner. And he hits the neutralizer for the win, which guarantees that the champions are going to lose the belts to a cold Lucha House Party at the pay-per-view. Kayla Braxton interviews Jey Uso in the back. They recap everything that's been going on, including Reigns stealing the pin in the main event. Uso notes that Paul Heyman told him last week was a miscommunication. So, you're a babyface and you trust Paul Heyman. Why? Have you not watched the last, 5 years, if not longer? Anyway, he said that tonight Reigns promised to have his back. Uso vows to win the Universal title cast champions, but the Samoan street fight for tonight is the main event. So, basically, SmackDown is the show where we put the good stuff somewhere in the middle, and then we throw a tag match that no one will care about in a week as the main event, and we expect people to watch this. Oh yeah, and we throw a completely wasteful talk segment in the beginning. So the beginning and the end of SmackDown every week doesn't matter. Awesome. Anyway, Matt Riddle hosts a segment called Know Your Bro. He explains the reason he loves the word bro, basically because it makes him feel connected with people or something. He points out that bro can convey different emotions, including happiness, anger, sadness, and afraid. So can using different words. This is called language. I love Matt Riddle, but they're making him just like a Beavis and Butthead stoner type, and it's, no. So they do the moment of bliss. They recap Alexa Bliss using the Sister Abigail and Nikki Cross last week. Alexa didn't waste time and introduced Nikki Cross as her guest. Bliss points out that usually Cross is her co-host. Bayley beat Cross all summer, she says. Cross explained that Bayley no longer has Sasha Banks looking out for her. Cross promised she'd win the SmackDown Women's Championship. I hope not. The only person that should win the SmackDown Women's Championship at this point is Sasha Banks. Otherwise, the angle they've done means absolutely nothing. So Cross then changed the subject. She pointed out that Bliss hit her with Sister Abigail, and Bliss begins to talk. She said she couldn't explain it, and Lacey Evans' music hits. She mocks both of them. She claims it's because Bliss walked away from the four-way last week, and it threw her off her game. And she says the only reason Cross won the four-way, and it's a pathetic explanation for losing. How about she won because, well, that's how it was put together, or she won because they see something in her they don't see in you, or any other number of reasons. Anyway, Evans told Cross that she could never beat Bayley. Probably true. Cross blew her nose on Evans' handkerchief, which was, again, sophomoric. This was a completely time-wasting segment. The next match doesn't do any favors either. Nikki Cross defeats Lacey Evans. I don't get Evans. Is she a Marine? Is she a Southern Belle? Is she a pain in the tail? What is she? Could she find something and stick with it? Or is she a babyface? Is she a heel? Is she a doesn't care? Is she multiple personalities? Like, what is this character? Because week in and week out, it's different, and it never gains any real momentum. Anyway, Michael Cole asks Bliss about last week and her attack on Cross. She said she was having an off day, and she doesn't go after Cole when he has an off day. Before the match, Evans puts on hand sanitizer. This was the best part of the match because, well, it's at least relevant to 2020. Evans has an advantage early. Crossbite fights back, and they switch control a few times. Basically, Evans works the arm. She hits a standing moonsault for a near fall, and then does the hand sanitizer, sprays it across his face, and Cole couldn't understand why this wasn't a disqualification. Neither could I. I also don't quite understand that if Alexa Bliss is her best friend, how do you let your friend get sprayed in the face with liquid alcohol and not do something? Anyway, Crossfire's back, and she makes a comeback, hits a tornado DDT, and a neckbreaker for the win. Post-match, Evans yells at Bliss and screams something about the Fiend. This sends Bliss into her trance. She hits the Sister Abigail on Evans. She walks off in a daze. So the idea of the daze is she doesn't blink. So, I mean, like, how long are we going to draw this out? I imagine, at least, well, not that I hope. I hope would be the wrong phrase. The most sense would be for it to be at Survivor Series and not at a throwaway pay-per-view. But at the same time, I don't want to see her just randomly hitting the Sister Abigail finish on every woman for the next 6 to 8 weeks. You know, whatever it is, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. I just don't. That's not worth it. Anyway, Sasha Banks is getting ready for her live interview at the Performance Center. This is the only part of that segment I don't like. If you have someone who has been put in a position where they are so injured that they need to be carried out on a stretcher and it's 2 weeks later, how about we do an interview from home or remote or whatever? It's because, well, it's wrestling and logic doesn't matter. At least in WWE, it doesn't. So, Paul Heyman narrates a video about the history of both Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and the history of the Samoan Anoa'i family. He talks about the various wrestling families. They show beautiful photos. They include the Hennings, the Harts, the Ortons, and others. And Heyman says he's always been close to the Anoa'i family, discusses the members of the family, and then they break down the relationship between Reigns and Jey Uso, and no one is as dominant as Roman Reigns. This is probably, this video package to hype a match that no one's going to remember in 6 months is tied for the best thing on the show behind the Sasha Banks promo, which is next. So Sasha Banks, she's backstage. She's at the Performance Center. She's wearing a neck brace. Now, if she's wearing a neck brace, again, why is she going to get in a car, bounce along in a car to get to the Performance Center? Why wouldn't she do this as a remote? But anyway, let's pretend that matters. They recap the attack from Bayley a few weeks ago. Banks is in tears, and it's believable when she's discussing her friendship with Bayley and all they've done as friends. She basically said that Bayley claims she used her and is just throwing her away. And Banks talked about how they started together, how they walked the halls of the Performance Center together, how they charted new ground together, how they basically took over the company, especially over the summer, how everything came down to them being together. Banks calls Bayley an idiot and said she's nothing without her, and she knows that Bayley is watching this interview. Banks promised to take away the championship, the only thing that matters to Bayley, and Bayley somehow busts into the building, which, how does no one with a camera, no one with a cell phone, no one with anything see her on the premises? Anyway, she hits her with a chair. So, this attack that was heinous, that should have put her on the shelf for at least a month or two, isn't enough. They bring her back, and the next time she's on TV, she being Sasha, pronouns pal, she gets laid out again. I mean, if she doesn't come back and just eviscerate Bayley in the beginning, then how does that even make sense? But if she beats her the first time out, there's no chase, which means you've kind of blown it off for no reason. So either way, they booked themselves into a corner. But the promo was great, and probably some of the better work that Sasha's done in a very long time. Next, AJ Styles and Sami Zayn. Not a bad match. Good for a TV match in 2020, I suppose. Zayn comes out with his Intercontinental Championship. He's angry that the announcers didn't introduce him as a champion. Styles jumps him from behind, starts the match. Michael Cole claims that Zayn gave up the championship because he took a hiatus. They don't want to admit the real reason was fear of COVID, but anyway. So then Cole in the same segment says that Zayn never gave a real reason why he took time away. Styles has the advantage, and Zayn comes back. We go to the break. We come back. Zayn is in control. He tries a superplex. Styles gets out of it and drops him on the ring on the ring ropes there. Styles goes for a phenomenal forearm. Zayn rolls out of the way. He hits a stun gun on Styles. Styles fights back and hits a neck breaker for a near fall. They traded shots in the middle of the ring. And Zayn hits a boot to the face. Styles responds with a Pele kick. Styles then rolls up Zayn for the win. This is after a Blue Thunder Bomb by Zayn and a Haluva kick. And then Jeff Hardy comes out. He says he's sick and tired of being called a liar and a fraud and a cheater and this and that. He attacks both Styles and Zayn. So he's a babyface, but he attacks both the heels. Huh? Anyway, he attacks them, grabs a ladder, attacks them with it, hits a twist of fate, and starts to climb the ladder. Zayn rolls into the ring finally, because all this action has been done to Styles, who had no real direct heat with Hardy in the beginning. He says he's angry at both of them, wants to face them both at Night of Champions in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. At 42, why is Jeff Hardy doing ladder matches? At over 40, why is AJ Styles doing the same? I mean, the match is going to be fine. It's going to be great. But why on a throwaway pay-per-view? Why not give it some build? Why not give it an inconclusive finish at the Clash of Champions that maybe half of your audience is going to watch? Wait till Survivor Series and do the ladder match there because it's a staple pay-per-view. Anyway, so we go to the locker room. Otis and Tucker are talking. Somebody hands Otis a vat of paperwork. We find out the paperwork is a lawsuit, and Tucker explains that Miz and Morrison have sued him for money in the bank negligence and taking away their freedom of speech by interrupting the dirt sheet. I kid you not. So they can bring lawsuits, but Sami Zayn can't go away for COVID and keep his title. Like, within the same show, there's no logic. Anyway, they try to get Otis to forfeit money in the bank. He's got a week to decide. Basically, it said Otis says we're in trouble. Tucker reminds him that no, you're in trouble. So maybe they're going to break up the team. Anyway, in the back, Sheamus and King Corbin discuss their main event, and security guard approaches Sheamus. Sheamus is happy that he lured Big E into the parking lot a few weeks back. Security guard then tells him that his vehicle's being towed away, and Big E's out there and he's waiting. Sheamus runs away. Big E grabs the security guard, gives him a belly-to-belly suplex on the car windshield. Gee, doing spots on a car. I wonder where they got that idea. I mean, it's so obvious that they copy. And it's so obvious that they don't have ideas that are A, logical, or B, original. So Adam Pearce runs out. He yells at Big E and forces him to leave. There's a mysterious blonde woman. When we come back from commercial, she's getting ready in a vignette. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman make their way out to the ring. Heyman set to speak, but Roman speaks instead. He came out first because he doesn't want there to be any misunderstandings. This is his yard, his island. Not a bad match for the people in it. So, Roman and Jay have the advantage early. They clear the ring out, and they fight around ringside. Uso leaps off the barricade onto Corbin, and Reigns tosses Sheamus into the barricade. Corbin hits a deep six on Uso on the floor that looks like no fun to have taken. Roman beats down on Corbin with a chair. Although, if he's the champion, why is he in the ring with Corbin and Sheamus? Two mid-card at best guys who aren't going up. Anyway, so Reigns beats him down. He hits Corbin with a chair. And then he goes to pull out a table. Sheamus cuts him off. Heels work together. And they toss Reigns over the table. Then Sheamus and Corbin bring the table around ringside, and they work over Uso. Uso tries to fight back, but the heels regain control again. Double powerbomb of Uso through the table for near fall. Reigns tosses a chair at Corbin. Sheamus tries to give Reigns white noise on the table. That doesn't go together. Reigns uses a low blow. He hits the Samoan drop on the announce table. Reigns spears Sheamus through the barricade. So basically we have a bunch of chaos here. Corbin recovers, tosses Uso over the barricade. Then he throws Reigns into the ring. Uso hits Corbin with the belt, and Reigns spears Corbin. Uso hit the splash on Corbin for the win. Uso's happy that they won. Reigns smiles, but it took him a minute. He hugs him. Reigns then has a massive smile on his face as Uso walks away celebrating. Uso turns his back and walked off. Reigns' smiles faded and became... he becomes angry. And basically, so it's kind of like we're doing the two-faced angle, which is fine, but for a one-off, because I can't imagine that this goes more than one, maybe. Are they going to put this at Survivor Series? I doubt it. Anyway, that's SmackDown. Week after week, I wonder why I watch this show, and it's only to cover it here. I really want it to get better. I do, but I don't have any faith. Anyway, till next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.